Let's cure some salmon with Jamaica. In a food processor, you're gonna add pink peppercorns, cooked Jamaica hibiscus, sugar and salt. Completely cover the salmon in it, wrap it up, let's sit in the fridge for a couple days. Full recipe is gonna be in the comments. Then once that's done, rinse it, let sit and cover it in the fridge for another day. Then you're gonna serve it on toast with lebne, this dressing, and that is it.
So guys, as you know, the cost of living is going up, so I'm just going to show you how to make oxtail at home. So first I'm just going to clean my surface and wash my oxtail. So I just washed this with some vinegar and lemon, and I just put it to the side as I cut up my aromatics. So I cut up some onion, some spring onion, some garlic and some Scotch bonnet pepper, and I just put it to the side as I use my dry seasonings. I'm gonna put these in the comments below, but I mainly used salt, pepper, onion, garlic powder, paprika, and I used all-purpose seasoning from Spice Vault. And of course I use my green seasoning. And just a disclaimer, I cook for my family, I'm at home, so that's why I don't have any gloves on. So here I've added my aromatics and I've mixed it up again, and I'm just going to leave that to marinate. So here I am getting ready to cook down my oxtail. I burn my sugar. I don't use bottled browning. Here is what it looks like when it's burnt. And I've added my oxtail to the pot. I'm gonna make this cook down for like 45 minutes so all those natural juices can accumulate and be the base for my oxtail gravy. And I've added my hot water after that's cooked down for about 45 minutes, my Scotch bonnet, and when it's like halfway done, I've added my tomato paste. Some people use ketchup. And when it's almost done, I added my butter beans, and here you have oxtail. Perfect, falling off the bone, tender, juicy, not too spicy, just perfect.
Today we're cooking Jamaican beef patties. Start by dicing onion, ginger, Scotch bonnet chilies, garlic and spring onions. Drop into a blender along with all-purpose onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, thyme and lightly process. Fry over a medium heat, and once fragrant, combine with beef mince. Season with salt, black pepper and browning, which will give it sweetness and the desired colour. Follow up with panko breadcrumbs, beef stock and corn flour, mixing well after each. Simmer until silky thick before allowing to cool. For the pastry, combine flour, salt, baking powder, sugar and for that signature colour, turmeric and curry powder. Crush cold shortening and butter into the mix, keeping both as cold as possible. Pour in cold buttermilk before kneading together and refrigerating for half an hour. Roll to a thin sheet and fold in on itself before again rolling out, repeating no less than 3 times. These layers of fat will create flakes when cooked. Cut around a plate for the shape. Spoon in the beef filling and egg wash the edge before pinching shut with a fork. Egg wash the top, and 20 to 30 minutes later at 200 degrees, boom, patty flakes in your shoes. Just like that, you've got Jamaican beef patties.
Let's make this classic Jamaican dessert from scratch. Step 1. Soak the raisins in alcohol. For me it was white rum and some leftover red wine, but you can completely skip this step if you don't like raisins or alcohol. Then we move on to peeling our sweet potatoes. Use that little knob on your vegetable peeler to easily scoop out any dips and dots. Some Jamaicans are going to be pissed about this, but I'm boiling my potatoes instead of grating them. It changes the texture and color slightly, but it's much faster than grating and a lot less stress on my injured hand. And then in a separate bowl, sift together flour, cornmeal, cinnamon, nutmeg and salt. Then set aside. For this, make sure you're using a big bowl or your granny pudding pan because you're gonna need it. In another bowl, pour in your coconut milk, vanilla, and sugar and give it a good whisk. Your coconut milk needs to be room temperature or even warm because you need to whisk until the sugar dissolves. Set aside half a cup of this coconut milk and sugar mixture. We're gonna need it for that ooey gooey custard on top. Now it's time to make the batter. Whisk in the rest of the liquid into the dry ingredients. Then gradually add in your grated or mashed sweet potatoes. Mix in any excess liquid from the raisins into the batter. Then I added in some grated ginger, which is optional but very delicious. I tossed the raisins in some flour before adding to stop them from sinking to the bottom while baking. After giving your baking tin a very generous layer of margarine, drop in your batter. Then add some dollops of margarine around the rim of the tin. Then bake covered or uncovered for an hour and a half. I saved some leftover batter for a cheesecake I'm planning to make. After an hour, I removed the foil, then popped it back in the oven for the remaining half hour. Once that's done, pour the reserved liquid over the top of the pudding. Continue baking for another 30 to 60 minutes. And just like that, we have sweet potato pudding with the custard on top. Do you guys call it custard? I grew up calling it spulalops, but that's just me. You can always add more coconut milk if you want more custard. I'm sure some of you have a different way of doing this, and I'd love to hear about it in the comments.
Hey guys, does anyone else love plantain as much as me? And yes, it's pronounced plantain and not plantain. I don't care what anybody else says. Don't come for me. Well, let me show you how we make ours. First, start by slicing your plantains, then add a little bit of salt and give it a nice toss. Add it to your hot oil and make sure to flip it onto the other side too. Once your plantain is a nice golden brown color like you see here, you're going to remove it from the oil and it's ready to eat. It's that simple. Enjoy!